As the afternoon draws to a close, we leave Benoa Harbor to begin the Indonesian leg of our cruise. Indonesia is an immense archipelago, its islands scattered along both sides of the equator. It was long believed to include over 17,000 islands, but an official count in 2010 established the final number at 13,466. The first European explorers in this part of the world were Marco Polo, James Cook, and Ferdinand Magellan. Over the next few days, we'll follow in their footsteps, discovering this fascinating region and encountering a few surprises along the way. For now, it's time to do a little exploring on the ship, starting with the cabins. Spread over 4 decks of the ship, the 62 cabins are divided into 5 categories: Explorer, View, Vista, Veranda, and the Medallion Suite. Each category was designed to surpass the expectations of even the most discerning passengers. This is an Explorer Suite. At 17 square meters and with 2 portholes, it has some of the same features as every other cabin on board: a flat-screen TV with on-demand programming, a radio alarm with iPod dock, access to Wi-Fi, and of course, air conditioning. Let's go upstairs and have a look at a veranda suite. These are 26 square meters and opens onto a private balcony, an ideal spot to admire the lush scenery we'll be sailing past over the next few days. The Silver Discoverer was completely remodeled in 2014, and the cabins were a main focus of the work. Some veranda suites are spacious enough to accommodate 3 passengers, and all the cabins are evidence of the cruise line's philosophy: comfort comes first. Our cruise will take us to explore unknown lands, meet the local populations, and discover new flavors. Every single day, the onboard cooks show us their culinary expertise in each of the 3 onboard dining locations. The grill is on Deck 5, right next to the pool. This is the place to go to watch the islands pass us by while enjoying the chef's specialties. With its buffet option, the Discoverer Lounge is reserved for breakfast and lunch, while dinner is served in the restaurant on Deck 3. This is where we meet for special events, such as the traditional captain's dinner that takes place at the beginning of every cruise. The menu includes delectable international dishes, as well as specialties from the regions on our itinerary. Leaving Bali, our ship turns its prow east toward the Lesser Sunda Islands. Our first land expedition will be on Komodo, a small island in the strait between Flores and Sumbawa. Komodo National Park draws tens of thousands of visitors every year with its celebrated dragons. The largest species of lizard on the planet, these scaly creatures eat mostly carrion, but when hungry, will not hesitate to hunt living prey. Don't trust their placid appearance. They can run up to 30 kilometers per hour. They are strong swimmers and will follow their prey even up into the trees. Komodo dragons have become real international stars, making their little island one of the most visited spots in Indonesia. The national park was established in the early 80s to ensure their survival and protection. There's a panoply of activities on offer for adventurous visitors, including scuba diving and guided hikes to discover the island's unique ecosystem. After a stop to pick up a souvenir or two, we'll hop on the inflatable boats, Zodiacs, that will take us back to our ship in a thin drizzle. Our next stop will be at the port of Palopo on the island of Sulawesi, where we will meet some Torajan locals, right after this. We're on a dream expedition cruise in Southeast Asia that will take us from Bali to Taiwan. Our vessel, the Silver Discoverer, has been designed to make this an unforgettable experience.
Thank you very much.
After a good night's sleep, passengers have two options to get their mornings off to a good start. For travelers who like to wake up to a private, tranquil breakfast, a steward will come to serve you your morning meal in your cabin.
A wonderful day.
And for those of us who can't wait to rejoin our new friends, we head over to the Discoverer Lounge for a well-equipped breakfast buffet. Leaving Komodo Island, we set our course north toward the port of Palopo on the island of Sulawesi, also known as Celebes. Cruises usually offer day-long outings on land, but sometimes we have the opportunity to stay in the same place for longer. On this excursion, we'll spend 2 days exploring the Indonesian province of Tanah Toraja, home to the Toraja people. We'll head inland and discover a land of rice paddies, mountains, and jungle. The Toraja have lived in the Indonesian archipelago for millennia. Throughout their history, the region has been invaded many times, pushing the Toraja into the high mountains of Sulawesi Island. The area is known for its magnificent scenery, drawing people from all over the world to discover the rich culture of the Toraja, who are renowned for their warm welcome. They're always ready to share a taste of their daily life with visitors from around the globe. Our destination is Rantapeo, the capital of the region, where we will spend the night. A few hours of travel with several stops to observe our surroundings brings us deep into this fascinating region. The precise origin of the Toraja is not known, but legend has it that they came from Cambodia by sea, sailing up these island rivers in their boats. That would explain the unique architecture of the Tongkonan, their traditional houses built on stilts. The frame, built out of hundreds of bamboo stalks, supports a thatched roof that projects out from the walls of carved teak. At the front of the house, we can see the horns of the buffalo that are sacrificed during funeral rites. The number of horns attached to the front of a Tongkonan is an indicator of the social status of the house's owner. The more horns out front, the richer the owner.
Well, this is a local mango tree. This is the fresh one. I can see from the skin. And
on each of our excursions, we're accompanied by Silver Seas expedition guides, who are experienced professionals with intimate knowledge of the history and customs of the regions we visit. The markets are often the perfect place to meet people, to taste unfamiliar foods, to see hundreds of pigs and buffaloes, and to attend a cockfight, although they are, in theory, against the law. In Torajan society, funeral rites are a hugely important cultural tradition. Our first experience with local customs occurs in the village of Limo. The village's deceased are laid to rest in a cliff where holes have been carved to receive their coffins. Wooden statues representing the dead are visible on several balconies. These are called Tao Tao. They watch over the village and its residents. These strange cemeteries contain only adults and older children. If a baby dies before getting its teeth, the body is quickly placed in a hole in the trunk of a tree. The baby's spirit will grow with the tree, and the baby will reach heaven and the afterlife at the same time as the tree. Many large funeral sites attract visitors to the region. At the caves of Londa, the dead are buried in coffins, but as the wood starts to rot, the bones are scattered below. At Bori, tombs are dug into a rock, and a series of mysterious megaliths stand at the cemetery entrance. These customs introduce us to a relationship with death that is completely different from that of Western society. It is said that the Toraja live for their dead and that the dead live among them. To fully understand this statement, we must attend a funeral celebration. Torajan funerals don't just involve the family and close friends of the deceased, but also the entire village, including any tourists that happen to be passing by. It's important to bring an offering, which can include coffee, sugar, or even a carton of cigarettes. These events can draw hundreds of people. Preparations have been made over several months, and the celebration itself can last up to 3 days. The body is embalmed after death, and the family keeps it in the house until they have saved enough money to give the deceased person a ceremony worthy of their social status. This can take several months, sometimes even years. The success of the funeral is measured by the number of buffalo that are sacrificed. Here, the buffalo is a sacred animal. Although they can be seen wandering through the paddies, they are not made to work. The majority of citizens in Indonesia are Muslim, but the European colonists spread Christianity throughout the region as well. While the Toraja are officially Christian, their particular brand of Christianity is strongly influenced by their traditional animism, and they believe that the dead ride to heaven on the back of a buffalo. It's common to sacrifice more than 10 buffaloes during a funeral. As funerals can last for several days, we will not be able to stay for the end of the ceremony. It's time to head back to the Toraja Heritage Hotel in Rantapeo, where we will spend the night. This hotel complex is perched atop hills overlooking the regional capital. It was built in the style of the traditional Toraja houses, but with the comfort we've come to expect from 4-star accommodation. It's a perfect place to relax after an exciting day of discovery. The hotel has 134 rooms, a pool and sporting facilities, as well as a sauna and spa. Now's a perfect time to enjoy these luxuries here among the breathtaking mountains of Toraja country. After an excellent night at the Toraja Heritage Hotel, we head for Port Pare Pare on the west coast of Sulawesi Island, where our expedition ship awaits. It's a 4-hour drive through the splendid countryside, with several stops to capture shots of these colorful images. As the afternoon begins, we leave Pare Pare and head north into Makassar Strait. We'll sail for 2 days to reach our next port of call, the small island of Kakaban, next to Borneo. Another beautiful day in the Makassar Strait in Indonesia. With a stretch of sailing ahead of us, passengers have the time to indulge in the services offered on our elegant vessel, the Silver Discoverer. For those of us concerned with staying in shape, the fitness center is equipped with stationary bicycles and weight machines. To cool off after a good workout, simply head up to Deck 5 and jump in the pool before heading to the bar for a drink. The days at sea are ideal for relaxing and taking time to pamper yourself. Why not pay a visit to the spa and let the specialist take care of you from head to toe? Choose a manicure, pedicure, Swedish massage, or hot stone massage to fill you with energy and well-being. After crossing the Makassar Strait, the ship anchors right off Kakaban Island. The crew prepares the inflatables to take passengers to shore, as there are no docks large enough to receive the ship. Cacaban is covered with dense jungle right up to the seashore. And it's renowned for its very special lake, located right in the middle of the island. Called Jellyfish Lake, it attracts many visitors who come to snorkel. Generally, jellyfish have a bad reputation. Just one touch can result in a painful sting that may cause a rash or even serious injury and death. But the jellyfish on Cacaban Island live in a closed environment where they have no natural predators. This has caused them to lose their natural defense system, rendering them harmless to humans. There is no danger for people who want to swim in the lake and admire the breathtaking spectacle of these sea creatures. If swimming with jellyfish is not exactly your thing, you can also go for a ride in a boat designed to allow passengers to see into the water. Admire the underwater wildlife without having to get wet in this remarkable glass-bottomed boat. After the stop on Cacaban Island, the cruise continues north through the Celebes Sea. Tomorrow, we will leave Indonesia and visit the Malaysian part of the island of Borneo. But for the time being, we can bask in another magnificent tropical sunset. A typical end to a day at sea. After sunset, the passengers look forward to a good meal. Tonight we've gathered around the pool for a romantic dinner under the stars. The cooks at the grill have prepared a special dinner tonight with a choice of meat grilled on heated volcanic rock. Welcome to Malaysia. This morning, the ship is docked at the port of Lahad Datu, where we are treated to a warm welcome. We're in Borneo, the third largest island in the world after Greenland and New Guinea. The island's territory is divided between the nations of Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Sultanate of Brunei. Over the next few days, we'll visit Mount Selam, the Sandakan prison camp, and the Sepalak Animal Rehabilitation Center. Hiking aficionados are in for a treat today as we plan to climb Mount Selam, the highest point in the region. Its summit towers 883 meters above sea level. We will start our climb at the Tower of Heaven, located at 620 meters altitude. Before heading up to admire the breathtaking view, we prepare for a hike through the jungle. A few necessary items: sunscreen, bug spray, and a good pair of shoes. The Tower of Heaven is an observation point that gives us a magnificent panorama of Darvel Bay and Sopaya Forest Reserve, one of the huge nature reserves that cover northern Borneo. Mount Selam is part of a coastal mountain range with an extremely high concentration of heavy metals. But while it is rich in magnesium, iron, nickel, and cobalt, the soil contains few nutrients to sustain plant life. The plants here, vastly different from the vegetation on the rest of the island, have adapted to their unfavorable environment, and the unique ecosystem is a magnet for nature lovers from around the world. The trail that takes us to the summit is a 4-kilometer loop with some fairly steep areas. It's an excellent chance to get some exercise outdoors and to discover the distinctive vegetation at the same time. Tomorrow, we will continue exploring the island of Borneo. We will take another stroll through the jungle, but this time it will take us past one of the more tragic sites of the Second World War. We'll visit Sandakan Memorial Park after the break. The Indonesian archipelago is a dream destination for many travelers, with its glorious natural setting and magnificent scenery. And it's only the finest of everything on board our luxurious cruise ship. However, this area saw some extremely vicious combat during the Second World War. In northern Borneo, Sandakan Prisoner of War Camp looks back on World War II's darkest hours. In 1942, the Japanese built a camp to hold Australian and British prisoners of war. Towards the end of 1944, before the advancing Allies, the Japanese decided to eliminate all prisoners by depriving them of food and subjecting them to brutal punishments and forced marches in horrible conditions. Of the 1,400 inmates at the beginning of 1945, only 6 Australians managed to survive by escaping into the jungle. Today, almost nothing remains of the camp but this power-generating boiler and this excavator, which was used to build airstrips. The Sandakan War Memorial was built to commemorate the prisoners who suffered here. It is one of the most visited World War II sites in Southeast Asia. Changing gears, we follow the Kinabatangan River, the shores of which are dotted with nature reserves. We head upstream into the interior toward the small village of Abai. This is an excellent opportunity to meet the local population and to learn a bit about daily life in Malaysia. The village is home to almost 500 people, most of which make their living from fishing. There are few government employees, but because the region is so poor, many former residents have moved to Sandakan or have left Borneo altogether for the healthy economy of Kuala Lumpur. Abai can count on its many assets to attract visitors. First and foremost, it is located between 2 of the largest nature reserves on the Kinabatangan River. It's a perfect pit stop for the droves of eco-tourists who visit Borneo. The residents are welcoming and charming, the food is delicious, and the music is captivating. The Indonesian archipelago is home to the 3rd biggest tropical forest zone in the world, spread out over 4 islands: Sulawesi, New Guinea, Sumatra, and Borneo. As the region contains a massive amount of precious wood, it is exploited beyond its capacity to regenerate. This is a particular problem in Borneo, where over half the tropical forest has been cut down since the 1980s. To counteract these effects, reforestation plans have been set into motion by the local governments. But local communities have also been developing projects for natural preservation. The Community Abai Project is an ambitious, multifaceted initiative established by the village residents. Its objectives are to create a local economy based on nature preservation, to restore the devastated rainforest along the banks of the river, and especially to preserve the culture and traditions of the community. This is why we are here in a 12-hectare clearing, planting mango and durian trees. When these trees reach maturity in a few years, their fruit will be the legacy of our visit to this village. We leave with a newfound awareness of the region's ecological issues. Here, the weather can change in a heartbeat. We're continuing our forest walk when the heavens open in a shower. No problem. We take out our rain gear and head to the boats that will take us back to the village. Along with the island of Sumatra, Borneo is the only natural orangutan habitat on the planet. Unfortunately, these animals have fallen victim to deforestation and to poachers. In Sepalok, we have a date with these apes in an extremely special rehabilitation center. It shelters orphan orangutans whose parents have been killed and those who have been captured to sell as pets. Normally, a baby orangutan spends the first 6 months of its life with its mother, who teaches it how to survive in the forest. Here, each orphan is paired with an older orangutan who teaches the little one how to move in the trees and how to find food. Another program has recently been created to teach animals who've lived in captivity how to become independent in the wild. Depending on their age, the primates can spend several years here before they're ready to live in the jungle. The center is publicly funded, with financial help from visitors who come from all over the world to observe the fascinating animals. While looking and taking pictures are allowed, physical contact is forbidden, as the primates can become ill if they come into contact with human diseases. The Sepalak Rehabilitation Center is the last stop on our visit to Borneo. On board, we set our course to the north, heading for the Philippines. We will land at Puerto Princesa on Palawan Island right after the break. It's day 11 on our 2-week cruise in the Indonesian archipelago from Bali to Taiwan. After stops in Komodo, Sulawesi, and Borneo, we're ready to discover the beauty of the Philippines. Since our departure, we've had only good times on board our luxurious vessel, where passengers are ensured impeccable service at any hour of the day or night.
Here you go, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Travelers who like to spend time relaxing in their cabins can simply call a steward to deliver their meals right to their door. Whether it's for a bottle of champagne or a delectable meal, the onboard staff is always ready to make the wishes of their guests come true.
You can see that there's a lot of red here. There's a lot of very young crust in these areas. But as you go...
As we spend long periods at sea, our guides organize daily lectures on a wide variety of subjects. The talks are generally about the next excursion on our itinerary, but they also address the history, economic issues, and environmental challenges of Southeast Asia. It's an excellent way to increase our understanding of this fascinating region and its diverse range of inhabitants before getting off the ship to go and meet them.
Won't get spread right out into the ocean.
And for passengers who want to find out more, the onboard library contains many travel guides. We are now approaching the Philippines, an archipelago of over 7,000 islands. Luzon and Mindanao are the two largest islands and are home to 2/3 of the 100 million Filipino citizens. We will soon draw up to Puerto Princesa on the island of Palawan. Usually when disembarking, we're treated to some local traditional music, but life has modernized quickly here, resulting in an exuberant contemporary welcome. We set foot on dry land amid the smiles of the local population who've come to greet us. Palawan is an internationally renowned ecotourism destination, and Puerto Princesa, the provincial capital, is acclaimed as the country's greenest and cleanest city. The awe-inspiring scenery, the white sand beaches on cliff-faced lagoons, and the tiny villages where visitors are received with warmth and enthusiasm all contribute to the exciting atmosphere of the island. After a quick minibus ride to Sabang Terminal, we have the great pleasure to ride in a bangka. This is a traditional boat equipped with outriggers that give it greater stability in the water. To reach our next destination, we have to go by sea, which allows us to discover the glorious western coastline of the island. We disembark at Puerto Princesa National Park, an extraordinary ecosystem where the mountains and the sea come together, and habitat to many animal species. The park's main attraction is the subterranean river that flows through the mountain and into the sea. It has tunneled over 24 kilometers through Mount St. Paul, and over 4 kilometers of the caves are navigable by boat. During the 45-minute underground boat ride, we discover a world of shadows lit only by our guide's lamps. We pass through caverns as birds and bats flit overhead. The limestone caves are scattered with stalactites and stalagmites that have taken millennia to form, resulting in an atmosphere that is beautiful and a little spooky at the same time. While our short underground adventure was exciting and completely safe, most passengers are happy to come out into the sun and fresh air. Back in Puerto Princesa, we head to our vessel and say goodbye to the island of Palawan. Tomorrow, we'll set foot on the tropical paradise of Coron. We'll dive into Cayangan Lake right after this. This morning, we head for the island of Coron in the Philippine archipelago. Our 2-week expedition cruise from Bali to Taiwan has been an eye-opening experience so far, with stops that have surprised and delighted us. Our stop today, however, is all about sun, sand, and relaxation. The island of Coron is located between Palawan and Mindoro. And like most islands in the region, it is covered with rolling green mountains that fall steeply into the sea. Scuba divers love it for the crystal clear water that increases visibility on their dives, and for the many shipwrecks that are available to explore, most of them dating from the Second World War. After landing at the Coron port, we get onto bancas that take us to spend part of the day at Cayangan Lake. But getting there is going to take a little bit of effort on our part. A very steep trail brings us to a breathtaking lookout point over the inlet where we landed. Next, we'll head down to the lake, which is reputed to be the cleanest in the Philippines. What a place for a swim. The lake, where fresh water comes to meet the salty sea, is exceptionally clear, making it ideal for snorkeling and doing a little bit of underwater photography. After a refreshing swim in this delightful setting, we have a date with one of the most beautiful white sand beaches on the island. A short banca ride takes us to Banal Beach, where the smells from the buffet whet our appetite. Delectable local specialties are on offer in this charming and relaxing atmosphere. We can take all the time we need to savor our meal and soak in the sun in this little piece of heaven. This day has been dedicated to relaxation, and our next stop is no exception. Can we get any more relaxed? The answer is yes. The McQuinnett Hot Springs is a place to pamper ourselves in an incredible natural setting. What could be better than a little swim amid the mangroves in one of the rare hot springs in Asia? Here, the water gushes from the depths of the earth quickly enough to maintain its warm temperature. When it reaches the surface, it is at 40 degrees Celsius. The water is recommended to relieve muscle pain and as treatment for certain skin conditions. But it's important to get in slowly, to allow your body to get used to the temperature. And remember to drink water regularly to avoid dehydration. It's an amazingly beautiful natural spot to relax and take some time for yourself. The Silver Seas Expeditions team has organized a fabulous day filled with small pleasures and tranquil moments. Before getting back on board, we take our time to look at the souvenirs on offer. As our adventure will soon be drawing to a close, it's time to turn our thoughts to the little gifts we'll bring back for our family and friends at home. And for passengers who don't find anything to their taste on the dock, there's always the onboard shop, which is filled with small souvenirs and luxury products. Since we left Bali at the start of our cruise, we've taken hundreds of photos. Some passengers are particularly well equipped, and they will surely bring home many postcard-perfect shots of their adventure. Whether you prefer glorious sunsets, portraits of the local population, or breathtaking scenery, this trip to Southeast Asia has been a great opportunity to take some photos to show your friends at home and to serve as souvenirs of your remarkable adventure. Night is falling on the Philippine archipelago as we continue on a northerly course. We'll reach the port of Hualien for the last stop of our cruise, right after the break. After 2 weeks cruising over the Southeast Asian seas, we come into sight of Hualien on the island of Taiwan. Our dream cruise has given us the chance to explore a fascinating region with breathtaking scenery. But we're coming to the end of our adventure. Taiwan is an extraordinary tourist destination, known for centuries by the name Isla Formosa, the beautiful island. It is known for its huge range of landscapes and atmospheres. Many successful industries in this Chinese province have contributed to make it one of the largest economies in the world. It's a land of contrast and tradition. Almost all the island's big cities are on the west coast. They are huge, densely populated metropolises that pulse with energy. The rest of the island is a huge mountainous region with amazing natural landmarks. We're heading for Taroko National Park. It's another extraordinary day for the hikers on our cruise, as we'll be visiting a picturesque gorge that winds through the mountains for 19 kilometers. This Aboriginal territory was for a long time completely inaccessible. It has now become one of the most visited natural attractions in Taiwan. Taroko was declared a national park in 1986 when the Taiwanese government and public realized that their economic miracle was developing to the detriment of the island's natural resources. Visitors to the park can observe a wide variety of landscapes. In a few hours, we go from the cliffs of the Pacific coast to a mountain forest, passing through a labyrinth of canyons with subtropical vegetation. The park is habitat to a wide variety of animal species, but not all of them are friendly. While snake bites are not necessarily fatal, they can cause injury. It's a good idea to stay on the path. At the end of the 1950s, a highway was built to link the island's east and west coasts. During this huge job through the perilous mountains, over 200 construction workers lost their lives. To honor their memory, the Eternal Spring Shrine was built after the inauguration of the highway. The building has twice been destroyed in landslides, but was reconstructed each time and has become one of the park's main attractions. In this very busy national park, there are many rest stops and restaurants for park visitors. After a good hike, this restaurant is a welcome break for us. The Taroko National Park is the last expedition of our cruise, which has consistently surpassed our expectations. Our last stop will be the port of Keelung, where we'll land before heading to Taipei Airport. Over the last 2 weeks, we've had some exceptional moments on board the Silver Discoverer, particularly thanks to Captain Lucas Pluska and his crew. With a warm and friendly atmosphere, cutting-edge facilities, and amazing experience